Welcome to News from Northwood University. I'm Kate Hessling here with my co-host Dan Goodell.
Greetings, Timberwolf territory.
Dan, I've said it before and I'll say it again. What a time to be a Timberwolf.
It is indeed. Our esports team has made some great feats, and we have some new exciting leadership changes coming as well.
That's right. We're here today with our new program director, Jacob, as well as our assistant director, Aden Frosch. They're here to talk about what they hope to accomplish during the club's new chapter, as well as to talk about some recent wins, including our Rocket League team, which is qualified for World Championship play.
Big welcome to you, gentlemen. Northwood Esports was just the fourth program in the state when it formed back in 2019. Flash forward to now and 4 years later, and now we're one of the biggest dynasties in esports collegiate play. How on earth did we all get to this point?
A big part of it was getting in early. Northwood did a great job of being, a pioneer and, wanting to take that first step. They saw the opportunity and they, were able to get into the scene and get started with Cody. And Cody was a big factor in kind of building that dynasty. He had a vision to be the best. He had experience running his own organizations, his own esports stuff. And he took what Northwood, gave him and provided him and created something incredible.
Absolutely. Before we get too entrenched in the history, can we talk a little bit about what esports looks like? What is esports to people who aren't familiar with it?
Best way to look at it is, Northwood currently has an athletic program. They'll have their football team, soccer team, basketball team, stuff like that. And so Cody and I have been in charge of the esports side of things, which includes individual games like Rocket League, Smash, Call of Duty, whatever you might know. And, they're their own departments that we run here.
Absolutely. I like to tell people when they ask me, just recently, our Valorant team got back from Istanbul, Turkey. And I've had people say, what's a Valorant? And I say, well, Valorant is to esports what football is to a traditional athletics program. It's all under umbrella, and this umbrella is esports. So really exciting. Well, it's 2019 and Northwood has our set sight on creating an esports program. Can you take us back to that time and relay what it took to get everything up and running?
Cody started with the program. Before I started working there, I was running events out of the space. And the combination of recruiting players, putting together top-level teams, and entering some collegiate exclusive events is what got our name out there. And once we put together these super teams, a lot of students see the success we've had, and they want to be a part of it. They want to join the winning program. And so the combination of having a winning team, a combination of the events that we were able to put together, and a lot of the local attention, being behind Northwood, was a great way to kickstart the program. And so we've been able to kind of just ride that out. We grow and grow as more students become aware of the program. More students want to come in. And so we've just been snowballing ever since. Obviously we are the first esports dynasty, and we've been able to find a lot of success.
That's spectacular. These days, what does the esports program look like? Like, what kind of numbers are we doing? What kind of games are we playing? How are we competing? Those kind of things.
So one of the things I like to talk about is there's no overarching governing body like with traditional collegiate sports, something like NCAA. So it is kind of like a free market, you could call it. There are lots of individual organizations that want to be like the collegiate esports hub. We're talking NACE, NECC, ECAC, similar to, for collegiate athletics, NCAA. And so we have this umbrella, like you mentioned, where we have all of these individual esports like Valorant, Overwatch, Rocket League, and all of those teams will enter all of those individual leagues. And so on top of that, we actually have multiple teams for each game, which you might consider vaguely like varsity and junior varsity. And so once you kind of multiply everything together, there is a lot to keep track of. There is a lot to follow. We are winning multiple national championships in one semester because all of these teams are entering all of these leagues and winning everything. So Northwood has, come a long way and grown, exponentially.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was told we have 19 teams, of them 9 are top contenders and 10 are considered junior varsity. And when we talk about our program success, what that looks like in terms of numbers is 2 world championships so far. How many national titles? 13 national championships?
13, yeah.
13, give or take. I don't know. There's a lot.
Give or take.
Our Twitter page has a little like trophy counter.
Awesome. Okay. So follow Northwood Esports on Twitter to check that out. And I believe almost 60 conference championships is the latest. So, and also measuring in terms of another indicator of success is seeing our students going from collegiate play to the professionals, right?
Yeah. Aden, you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
You worked with Landon.
I worked with Landon. I mean, it's really cool just to see that like collegiate is starting to get big enough where like for some people that like really dedicate and put in kind of like the grit, the effort and everything, that it's finally starting to pay off. For me, especially somebody very dear to my heart, one of my best friends, Landon, who played for the London Spitfire in the Overwatch League. It's a little bit iffy right now with his current job status with how the professional side is going, but it's really cool just seeing that like a student, somebody that I've just kind of known for a couple of years, just suddenly, grind his butt off in the lab every day, and finally just one day like, hey, like he gets a contract offer, people want him, and suddenly he's playing in the big leagues, and then I'm flying to Toronto to go see him playing like the grand finals.
Yeah,
So-
he's been really fun to watch. I remember when he went to when he went professional, and we were just all so excited, and he's done a fantastic job. It's really any type of professional difficulty that he's having right now has more to do with the Overwatch League itself,
Yeah.
not him. He's doing
It's a
phenomenally.
structure thing. I mean, right now, even he got invited to play in a tournament in Saudi Arabia. So he's currently in Saudi Arabia right now doing that. And I think his team is currently guaranteed top 3.
Wow, guaranteed top.
So
That's spectacular. So it's great to see our students excelling like this and becoming professionals. Tell us a little bit about your guys' individual stories as well, how you guys have kind of moved through the program as well as moving into new roles as well. So Aden, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
yeah, my story is very long-winded, so I'll kind of cut down on the early parts first. Long story short, with my humble beginnings, my dad worked in IT in the 90s, so I was growing up around computers and PC gaming. So, I remember just being a kid sitting on my dad's lap always playing like Counter-Strike 1.6 and like Quake and just other like just games as a kid. I've just always been exposed to video games and just watching him play tournaments. He's always just showing me things. It's just kind of like a culture I grew around thanks to my dad. And then as I progressively got older, I slowly got more and more interested into it, where like, some dads and their kids might go to like a sports game. For me, I grew up in Texas, might go to like a Rangers game, a Cowboys game. No, we're flying to Atlanta to go watch the Smite 2015 like World Championship, or going to watch like a Counter-Strike event. It's just something that like me and my dad did growing up. So just esports has always been like a big thing, a part of me. And then towards like my end of my high school career, I got a lot more into like actually being a player. I was originally recruited to play Overwatch for a different university. And then after just kind of seeking for a nice little change of pace, I decided to attend Northwood in fall of 2021, if my memory and timeline serves me right, just because around 2020 and 2021 is whenever Northwood really started to get like put on the map. Right, 2019, humble beginnings for the program, but just the program just kind of exploded that year, where just everyone's talking about it. That's where they start winning everything, and I'm kind of like, hey, I want to be on that early.
Yeah, I remember Aiden's told me this in a prior interview. He said, I just kept hearing about this school that was winning everything.
Yeah.
This Northwood.
I mean, my old school, if it's okay if I shout it out real quick. Just 'cause
Oh, absolutely.
Ottawa University, we were the first, my second year, my sophomore year there, they got big in the collegiate Call of Duty space. In fact, they are the reason why the Collegiate Call of Duty League now has hard rules set for a varsity and junior varsity division, because that year the 2021 playoffs or whatever, it was our school's A team versus our school's B team in the grand finals. So they I come from a little bit of a prior esports dynasty in quotes.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to come from a school that literally like rewrote the rules to another school that is rewriting the rules in different ways and kind of pushing the boundaries of how like collegiate esports is even thought about.
Well, we're so lucky to have you and to have Jacob too, to bring us into another era of success. That's all I see is just winning, right? That's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's all we do at this point. We just win.
Yep. And now you're taking your next step, moving from being player, into mentor, coach, director, assistant director, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, whole little transition. I went from a player to like production marketing staff to a management staff for our Overwatch team, where I've been a part of them for the main like Blizzard Collegiate League for about like 3 national championships, in addition to all the other additional leagues like the like NACE, the National Association for Collegiate Esports. And then, do you remember what NECC stands for? Isn't it like New England or
no, National Esports
Collegiate
Conference.
Yeah, so they've been title champions, division champions for that. Actually, yesterday I was with them last night as they won the NACE Overwatch national championship. So,
wow.
Yeah, we did that last night.
Wow.
Yeah, they won. So happened late in gamer hours, but we won.
Exciting. Well, we're excited to see what you can do with the program and continue the dynasty that's growing. So, Jacob, how about you tell us a little about your story, your path as well, from where you started to where you are now?
Yeah, I kind of had a similar situation with Aden. When I was very, very young, my grandpa was really big into like trying to get in early and get into PC hardware. Always had a bunch of computer parts everywhere, and eventually he would put them together and let me play video games on his cool new computer that he built. And my mom actually is very, very competitive. She's always trying to get better at something. She's really into board games, and so there was like a ranked ladder online, and she got like 3,000 ELO in backgammon, just random stuff like that. She always wanted to get better. And so that was definitely genetics that came to me as well. And so early on, I played a lot of video games casually. I tried to get better, but I wasn't really too gung-ho. But eventually I found a game I really liked, League of Legends, sometime back in like 2012. And I just grinded that game out. I was playing all the time. I was getting better. I was climbing the ranks, all that stuff. And, I got to do my tournaments. We won some stuff. It was a great time. Eventually, I wanted to free more time for myself. So I stepped over to a coaching position with that team. We recruited a new AD carry. That was the role I played. And I coached them for a couple of years. After that, I realized I had a good start putting together kind of an esports resume, both as a player and as a coach. And so I wanted to step into something else to kind of grow that experience. I started with event management around 2016, 2017 for lots of different games. I ran some leagues, I ran some one-off tournaments, some championships, stuff like that. And by that time, I had been doing that for a couple of years. And as the Northwood program was starting in 2019, I was still running events. And so right before COVID, we ran a big Smash tournament at Northwood. And that kind of kicked things off for me to make my connections with Cody. And then about a year or two later, I was able to get involved with the program and start working directly with Cody and Northwood.
Wow, that's phenomenal. I have to ask you, I have 2 questions that just about everybody who's not familiar with collegiate esports asks me. Number 1, what does practice look like? And how often is practice held?
It depends on the team, but the structure for practicing esports is very similar to a traditional sport. We will sit down, we'll have practice sessions. The guys will practice on their own. We'll have scrimmages just like any other team. We'll scrim against other colleges, kind of stack up against them and try to practice new things or practice, our strats that we've put together. And all the while we'll have film review, we call it VOD review, and we'll watch our games. We'll try to see what we're doing wrong. We'll try to get better. And just like any other coach, we'll set up game plans. We'll set up practice regimens. We'll work individually with the players to make sure everyone is growing both as a team and on their own. And so it's very similar to any other sport that you'll practice for.
That's interesting. And Aden, I know I've asked you this one before, but I get it all the time from parents. My kids play too many video games. Video games rot your brain. I mean, but it's not just sitting around playing video games for the fun of it, correct? There's purses and travel involved.
Yeah, I mean, like just esports and gaming as a whole is a whole. It's a whole like little like community, right? Like COVID, I think, is where a lot of, I feel, at least from like my mom, she works at my hometown school district, so I'm kind of like the flagship like esports person of my hometown. So every time like somebody, some parent like mentions that their kid likes video game, it's go to Anne, her son does this for basically a living. So so it sounds like over COVID, like parents kind of understood that, like, oh wow, like there's like a social aspect to it, right?
Absolutely.
You're playing with, either it's, your friends that you might like know from like your hometown, or it's people you meet on the internet, but there's a big like social aspect to it, right? But then as you kind of like get progressively better, there are definitely like money opportunities, travel opportunities, and you could do a lot of things kind of with that. But then when you kind of segue into collegiate, one of my like best things that my mom always tells people is that, hey, it's a scholarship. That's less money you're having to pay, or your kids having to pay for school. So don't really knock it. It's like, yeah, it might sound a little silly. They're going to school to play video games, but it's less money coming out of your pocket, and they get like an instant support system. As long as like they stay like active within it, they get an instant, family. They get instant just kind of resources to, people, facilities, help. So I mean, there's a lot to kind of like what esports does, especially on like the collegiate side of things.
That's spectacular. So let's bring it back to the Northwood program a little bit here. So we've got about 150 people involved in the program right now. But not all of those people are players, right? Let's talk about the other stuff that's involved with esports, because it's not just playing video games, even though that's a large portion of it. But what else is there involved with esports in the program?
That's a really good topic. I do get some students that come up to me and they say, I'm not the best player in the world. What can I do? And esports is not only about, playing the video game. There is that support system Aden talked about behind it all. We do recruit students on scholarship for that support system. We have students doing broadcasting. We have a whole marketing team. We have a social media team that all work together. And Northwood currently is very, very student driven. Early on, us as coaches kind of had to take on a big part of the responsibility. And so we've been making a huge effort, Cody, I, and Aden, trying to make sure that, this is student focused. The students that come in, they're able to make a difference and, kind of handle that business side of things that we talked about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that impresses me about Northwood is that we have an esports management degree program that recognizes that the esports industry is one of the fastest growing industries around, and that there are many traditional business roles that need to be filled, the accounting, the finance, management, what have you. So something that I like to tell, people when they're interested in our program is that, the type of professors and coaches that we have are just so educated. I mean, Aden, you're with Elevate.
Yep.
We have Victoria Horsley is one of our esports instructors.
She actually got voted like recently, like the Forbes 30 under 30
Yes.
For gaming. So that's a,
Yes, Professor Horsley. Yeah, she works for Riot Games. Yeah, so she's just incredibly successful, and we're so lucky to have her to do that degree program as well as the actual playing program. So
gentlemen, last question before we end this podcast here. Northwood has grown this dynasty that we keep talking about. Where does this program go from now into the future?
Cody and I have been working together so long. Aden has been right there with us, and I'm very, very confident it's going to be a seamless transition. Cody has left us with so many resources and so many opportunities to succeed, and working hand in hand with him, it's gonna be, the same thing. We're gonna keep going. Northwood is very supportive of us. The students are very excited to keep moving forward and keep, earning their education and, adding more experience to their esports resume. So we're excited for them. Obviously, we're excited to do our thing, and it's going to be exciting for everyone to watch as well.
Well, we're very excited for you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck with the Rocket League World Championship this winter. Do we have any more up and coming?
It's playoff season right now.
Yeah, it's playoff season. So
tons of up and coming then.
We have won multiple national championships in the last week. So we're still going. We still have some more to go as well. So just keep an eye out. We shouted out the social medias early on, Northwood Esports for everything. We would appreciate your support.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure talking with you today, and I look forward to what you guys take and make this dynasty continue to grow.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. For all your latest esports news, visit northwood.edu. Thanks for listening.